No, it was the only time I think maybe you drove my car. It was at the 500, and I was super unhappy. I'm like, this thing's a piece of shit. It's horrible. Anyone can get in this car, and it'll be horrible. And you got in, and you went out, and because your freaking mindset when you get in the car is, I go flat out and turn one for lap one, and you go by, and you go flat out and turn one in my car, which does not fit you.
It pissed you off.
And you...
it was a little short on the pedals.
did it feel good, though? Was it...
Well, it was two things, right? Like, I had...
I just want to make sure that I wasn't wrong. No.
No, you're not. And then again, I mean, you remember, the relationship we had in that team was extremely unique. I think I can say that.
Yeah.
And you maybe
it was very... We worked together.
Yes. And it was two things that went through my mind. First of all, I knew you well enough, and I knew I had to build your confidence. And then I knew if I had to gone through turn one flat out, I was going to piss you off so bad that I didn't matter how bad that car was, you're going to do it.
I believe that each and every one of us has the power within ourselves to create the life that we really want. And I want to help give you the tools to make that happen. I'm Danica Patrick, and I'm pretty intense.
Welcome to the Pretty Intense podcast. Today we're talking to Tony Kanaan, who is an INDYCAR driver and was a teammate of mine. For me, I was really interested in hearing about him as a person in his life. That's just stuff you don't get into when you're friends. You're just kind of going about your life and your work, but I really wanted to dive into that, and so we did. So we talked about the balance of that and how to grow as a human being to being a happier person. Tony Kanaan, welcome to the Pretty Intense podcast.
Thank you. Actually, the name is pretty intimidating.
Do you think that I'm a pretty intense person?
Well, yeah, knowing you.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
It does?
100%.
Yeah. Well, I think thank you.
Why?
Well, because I don't think it always means all the best things, right? Like being pretty intense can be a little offensive at times.
Yeah,
scary.
Yeah,
like you said, scary.
But it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's good to be scary to people.
That's true.
You know, like
That's
people
true.
back off and they'll look at you a different way. So
yeah. Well, like we were just saying before we pressed record. Well, let's face it, I didn't press record. This is not structured. This is like a conversation, and how it's funny to get out of that headspace of an interview like we're so used to doing, which is,
this is what you got to say.
Mention your sponsors, make sure you plug the race, make sure you do this, and it's, 5 minutes later, it's over with if you're lucky. Yeah. And this is one of those formats where we can talk and people can get a feel for our personality. I've always felt like in racing in particular, it's always been hard to develop huge fan bases for a specific driver because it takes so long to get to know that driver. Yep. Where it's not like, they're not cheering for me because I was, grew up in Illinois. It's not like I have Illinois on my side because of it. You have to get to know somebody through their personality and interviews and, sometimes in heated situations. But whatever it is, that's how you get to know us. So with that said, is there anything in particular you want to mention that's totally anything you've never said before and it would be controversial or... I'm just kidding.
You know me well enough. I think I'm pretty transparent.
You are. You are. So I kind of wanted to go back to the very beginning of us as teammates.
Okay.
When I got to know you. And how, you're a joker, you're funny, you boys would play your pranks back in the day. Of course, my favorite one was where you and Dario, who was it? It was you, Dario Franchitti, and Brian Herta all shit in Dan Weldon's toilet. And
correct. Wasn't
that in Japan?
In Japan.
And then you cranked the heat?
And we took the water out of the toilet. That was the first thing.
That's a clutch move.
Everybody went.
How did you organize that?
So that was actually a debate, which I'm not picky about that stuff. So I can go to the bathroom anywhere that I really like.
And anytime, apparently?
Yes. And
wow, that's. I think you have IBS, but
but then Dario gets, oh no, I gotta go first. So I'm like, guys, whatever, figure it out. So we emptied the toilet. It's kind of disgusting conversation, actually, but and we closed the water knob out of.
Oh yeah, and then you flush it.
Out, and we flushed it, so it was no water.
Oh my god!
And he couldn't flush it.
Oh my god!
And 4 guys went. I was the last one, which wasn't pleasant.
Bold
I have
move.
to say, yeah,
that's pretty intense.
and we cranked the heat on in his bedroom, and we left. So the way I got the key, I actually impersonated that I was Dan Weldon. And in Japan, they didn't know better. Dan wasn't that famous yet, so that's how I got his room key without being asked for an ID. It was funny.
It was back in the day before they needed your blood type and
Correct.
your passport
Correct.
number and everything. Just
Funny enough, the
just to
other
check
day
in.
I locked myself out of my room in the hotel, and obviously I don't carry my ID with me. I went to grab some ice, and she wouldn't. I didn't remember my room number. As you know, I mean, it took me a little bit because we stay like, you know, when you stay like 3 nights in a row in 3 different hotels.
Oh, yeah,
kinda
you can't remember where you are when you wake up.
And she wouldn't give me a key. I said, well, we're probably going to have to go up there with me so I can prove it because you can't. I'm not just walking in here and try. Anyway, but yeah, that was probably the biggest prank.
Yeah, so the point of the question in that fantastic story is I don't feel like you guys pranked me.
No, but we, you know,
Why?
like, here's the thing. I mean, you come to the team and you know, you're this little girl and you're strong. You have a really strong personality, kind of intimidating at times. And you're like, is she going to hit me if I do something? But also, we got told that, you know, remember, boys are boys. And I know nowadays, Wait
a minute, you guys
can
got your
totally-
wings clipped?
You can totally take it, but we're like, guys, you have to you can do stuff to her, but do not exaggerate the way you guys do
Don't
to
shit
boys.
in her toilet.
Yeah. So, and then you know, then you just like you used to get fiery. So we backed off. We're like, nah, we'll leave her alone.
Do you feel like I've tamed down a little bit? Am I more calm than I was when you remember meeting me and in the beginning?
No.
Good.
No.
Just about different things, right? I'm more,
I think you've
being more
learned
cognizant.
how to control yourself a little more, obviously, as years goes by. I think you've learned, but also, you know, nowadays, you probably know that a lot better than me. Once you're in the spotlight, you got to unfortunately think about 3 times once before you really react. And I think
Yeah.
back in the days, the good part was you didn't care. You know, you didn't like something,
Yeah.
you're going to go after that. You
Well,
know?
I mean, I used to fly off the handlebars all the time. I remember the one time I was walking down pit lane, the race was still going on. It was Michigan. We were delayed for like 3 hours because of the rain. And then all of a sudden it was drivers to your cars, and we were green flagging 15 laps, and it was the second longest race of the year next to the Indy 500.
Yep.
And I think we sat in the car for 45 minutes before we even rolled off because they were still trying to dry weepers. And I wasn't brave enough to get out and go to the bathroom because I thought, sure enough, they're going to call us to go. And but anyway, and I remember I think I ran out of gas with like 6 laps to go.
Yep.
And I was so pissed off. And I was like, throwing my helmet down and my earpieces down. I'm walking down pit lane and I kick a barrel, and the barrel was empty, and I thought it was full of water. And I was like, oh shit. And I picked the barrel up and I stood it up straight because I was like, oh no.
But see, I mean, like I said, you probably would do differently today. So I think
Maybe.
you haven't changed.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't think you have.
Maybe.
You know, sometimes you go, yeah, I've learned that. You're still gonna have a chat. You're still Danica. In my opinion, if we piss you off, you're still gonna come after us anyway.
Was there anyone fiery in your family? Was there anyone that, like, growing up, you were like, whoa, don't cross?
Oh, my mom.
Okay.
Oh, my mom. Like,
Perfect. I'm so glad that you said that.
100%.
Because, so what's interesting is that, of course, like, we know each other really well. I wouldn't even need to, look, there's a research team. And so there's 20 pages of notes on you. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to read them all. So I came across a story about how your mom found out that you were racing.
Yep.
And I was like, that is the funniest story. And what an interesting story about perspective. So the story in paraphrasing would be like, so you can tell it. Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
obviously, mom was always scared about racing and that stuff. And Dad and I used to watch races together all the time. And she's like, don't you dare giving this kid anything that has 4 wheels and a steering wheel. So sure enough, Dad went behind her back and bought me a go-kart. And we start going every weekend, going to the go-kart track. And Dad would make an excuse to say, I don't remember exactly what he would tell my mom. Oh, we're going to go to so-and-so's house. We're going to go do this. So anyway, 4 or 5 weekends in a row, my mom is like, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, it was all day, all weekend, probably, like all day Saturday
Yeah,
and
like
Sunday.
Saturday from 9 to 5, you know, and you're like, so, but it's funny because you think about it, like you said, so your mind, my mom is extremely fiery. a very jealous person. Was always jealous about my dad, and like, you know, so like, what are you doing? Where are you going?
Paranoid.
Yeah, and then all of a
I
sudden,
know that person. I've been that person.
we get home one day, and she's like, she sat him down. I've heard it afterwards. Obviously, I wasn't part of that conversation, but my mom thought my dad was cheating on her and using me as an alibi because he was being, you know, gone every weekend.
Kids as pawns, never fair.
Exactly.
Never
So
fair.
which actually worked. I think he planned that so well, Danica, because when.
Do you think he planned it?
No, I'm saying like it worked out for him because you can't imagine that she's thinking the worst. And then you go, no, I gave the kid a go-kart. And actually, she goes, well, okay. All of a sudden, it was okay for me to race. So it worked out for him perfectly.
So I read that and I was like, man, the thing that came to mind first was like perspective, right? Perspective creates expectation levels.
Correct.
So while she damn well didn't want you to have four tires and a steering wheel, and said, don't you dare get him one of those. All of a sudden now it's totally okay.
now it's like awesome.
Because given the contrast of the situation, like,
Correct.
oh, of course, a go-kart's totally fine. Get two.
Correct.
I have your sister do it too. But I found that to be so funny.
And
I
that's
was
how
like,
my racing started. Actually,
Yeah.
we laugh about this up until today. And my mom hasn't changed a bit. And she's still jealous about me and my sister. And
where does she live?
she lives in Rio,
Okay.
in Brazil.
So how often do you see her?
She comes here 3 times a year.
Yeah.
You know, it works.
Does she come for the 500? So she
No,
comes,
she doesn't. She doesn't
What?
watch races. She
Oh,
hasn't
dear.
watched a single race of mine
What?
ever. She prays the entire time, and she asked my sisters from like. She came to the 500 3 times, stayed in my bus with the TV off, just praying the entire time. So she gets nervous.
Thank
so she will come
God.
here in she'll come here in July for a month. She comes here for Christmas and New Year's. We alternate between myself and my sister.
Yeah.
And now with all the kids, so she
What
comes
does that?
up
I
to-
mean, how does that make you feel that she's never watched you race?
I get it. I mean, now that I have kids, I don't know if I was going to be able to watch my kids race. And I have a lot more knowledge than my mom. No offense to her. I mean, I've known what we go through, so I don't mind. I think it was something that she always did, and for her it works. So I don't mind. It's not that I want her. I mean, yeah,
You don't feel offended, or you
No.
don't feel like, you know.
And then she watches. You know, when I won races, probably she's after
She'll
the
go
finish
back
line,
and
she'll-
watch them. Will she go
No,
back
no,
and
no,
watch?
she'll
Like
just
she'll
give it-
never
no,
have
no,
watched
no.
you. You know, she won't ever watch your Indy 500 win from 13.
No, she doesn't. Never did. It's interesting.
Wow. Does she think maybe that now if she watches one, it'll be like total bad luck? Like it's like when you go down a road so long with superstition, right? Then all of a sudden you break it and your mind becomes overwhelmed with the contrast, right?
She won't tell me that, but I'm pretty sure that's probably what goes through her head. But
She ain't never going to see you race.
which is fine. She's not missing a lot nowadays.
Well, racing goes through its ebbs and flows, right? Like I think about my first time I came to, my first year in the INDYCAR series and my first year at the Indy 500 and how, my car was so fast and like everything was in line, like the right team, right engine, right car, right everything. But here I am with, less than 1,000 laps, less than 1,000 laps of experience in an INDYCAR and race condition, and how, damn it, if I could just go back with all this experience, then I'd have done such a better job. But it wouldn't have been the dramatic story. But would you watch your kids race? You said you might not.
I don't think I'm going to give them that option. So no, they're not going to race.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I'm kidding. My 11-year-old Leo, which you gave him a go-kart, by the way, Danica,
You're welcome.
as a baby present. Her and her dad gave my kid a go-kart. And he was 3 months old. Not 3 weeks old.
Yeah, but everyone does such a bad
I
job.
still have it.
Bad job with kid presents. They give them
I
presents that
agree.
are only good for like right then.
I agree.
I was planning for the future for you.
I agree. And actually, I still have it.
Oh my
he
gosh.
drove it once.
Did he really?
Yeah, when he was like 5.
Did you have to like buy a whole new engine probably? And
No, at the time, no, because he wanted to try. And then actually, Leo wasn't into it. So I still have it. So Deco, my 4-year-old, it's really into it. Crazy, crazy little dude. He actually, knows every brand of every car. He talks about it. You walk in on the street, goes, "Oh, Dad, that's a Corvette. That's a Mercedes." So he might be the one. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna prevent
Well,
my
you've
kids.
probably given him a pretty good opportunity to get educated, given the fact that you have how many cars
No,
do you
actually,
own?
I'm down
Seriously,
to
can
it.
you be honest about
Yes,
this, or is this on
yes.
the is this more
No,
private information?
we grow the family, so I had to sell a lot of the cars. As you remember, I had actually up to like 14 cars. Now I'm down to 5. So, in a minivan.
Do you have a place in Miami still?
No, they just sold that in December. We moved full time to Indianapolis, and actually, I live probably 6 minutes from your dad's.
Oh,
now.
okay.
Lawrence from Indianapolis,
Yeah.
so we decided that when I signed with AJ, part of my deal was that I need to be more involved with the running of the team as well. So I'm in the team every day.
So I never enjoyed that.
Yeah,
like that whole part of being around, I did it because like that's what
Because you
you're
had to.
expected to do. But I didn't. I was zero productive. I mean, in NASCAR we had meetings. Like we had Monday or Tuesday meetings. Like some teams were different, but we had Monday meetings, and we'd go in and we talk about the car for a few hours, and that was the most productive thing I could do. Other than that, it's literally like hanging out. So are you doing more than hanging
I do
out?
a lot more than that. I mean, I participated a lot. They give me a lot of freedom to help too. So it's kind of like I kind of enjoyed that side. I think as I getting towards the end of my career, I'm still, people ask me, which like you got that question 1,000 times. What's next? Mm-hmm. I was never the type of guy that planned. As a racer, you don't. How can you plan? I'm going to plan to win the 500. You can't plan that. You can prepare for it, but you can't. So that's something that I kind of enjoyed. It's still probably going to keep me around racing if I decide when I decided to.
Do you want to be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a team owner.
That sounds.
No,
I mean, like worrying
I
about
don't wanna, no.
worrying about the money
Not
coming
at
in,
all.
hiring and firing.
No. But part of helping structure a team, getting the people. I love working with people, and
Yeah.
the way.
You're a people person.
Yes. I mean, kind of, and
You are.
and to me, I mean, look at the people that I brought. If you look at the team today, I have Scott Harner that was with me at Ganassi. He was the general manager at Ganassi. Now he's running our team. Eric Cowden, my engineer, that was there when we were there forever. And I have four of my 8 mechanics that when I won the 500, they're in my car. So
Wow.
we're bringing. So
Yeah.
that's people.
I
That's
feel like you got a
that's what I
feel-good
do.
story like I did at the
Yes.
INDYCAR career, like where I was like, oh man, I'm back, and some of the same people are back, and
But that-
numbers and all
that
kinds
doesn't
of
mean
things.
that doesn't mean anything. That's just
That's just a
one of my
circumstance.
commitments to AJ was we're gonna try to build the team and a strong team and try to actually raise the bar and we've been struggling a lot.
Yeah,
But anyway, I've enjoyed that part. That's why we moved to
Look,
Indianapolis.
I think that having goals is something that is critical to accomplishing anything, right?
Yep.
If you don't know where you want to go, how are you ever going to get there? So
I
that
can't
kind
leave
of-
without a goal. If I don't wake up in the morning thing, I feel I'm not alive.
So it makes me, in reading through all the information and also knowing that your dad passed away when you were, pretty young, and how you promised him you'd keep racing.
Yeah, that was kind of, yes.
Was that like how did that fuel you? Was that it, or was it just because you love racing? Like what, because it really feels like that was something that you guys had together. You spent time together. You obviously had your dirty little secret from mom for a while, but
It was 5 weeks.
You promised him.
Yeah, I mean, Dad got sick. He got diagnosed with cancer when I was 9, and he passed when I was 13. I was already racing, and I think it was something that we've done a lot. Obviously, it was 4 years before he passed. I raced every weekend. You did exactly the same thing with your dad. And through the years, obviously, through the end, when he probably figured out he was not going to make it, which I didn't realize that. I was 13. You never wanted to believe you're going to lose your dad.
Of course not.
regardless how bad the
I'm
situation
37
is.
and I'm not thinking about that.
Exactly. Well, you shouldn't. Nobody should. But he kind of like prepared myself for it. Says, hey, if I'm not around, eventually you have to take care of your mom and your sister. And I think you're really good in what you do. You shouldn't give up racing. And He was in the hospital on a Thursday. It was just a Thursday night. Races are always on the weekend. I had qualifying. I had a test on Friday, qualify Saturday, and race on Sunday. So I went to see him in the hospital Thursday night. He wanted to see me. He asked my mom, "Can he go pick him up?" And we sat down. He was totally fine. I mean, obviously extremely weak from the chemo and everything, but he was talking or we're chatting. And he goes, "Promise me one thing." I said, "Yes, whatever you need. What do you want?" And he says, "He will never stop racing. Regardless what happens to me. Never, I mean, you know what I mean. Never.
Of course, yes.
I can race until I'm 70 years old, but I'm almost there.
Well, you're on your way.
Exactly. I knew you were going to do that. So I said, okay, then, of course. And I didn't think anything of it. So I went home. That night, he passed.
Oh, my God.
So I woke up. Mom was home, which was extremely unusual. And I'm like, what happened? So she sat me down. She says, look, your dad went to sleep and
what a beautiful way to go.
He started to have some, he started to get delirious. He was really weak. And his two last words, it was Tony and the go-kart race. I was like, wow, okay. God. I woke up and I went to the track. I went to the track and I tested. I qualified on pole and I won that race on Sunday. So in Brazil, the service, the way it goes, it's really quick. We don't do here. Like I learned in America, it takes a week, right, for people when they passed. And in Brazil, it's kind of like, you want to get that done so people stop suffering.
What do they do to the bodies in Brazil?
We do the same thing, but it's just quick. Like he passed between Thursday, so it was Friday.
Yeah.
They prepare the bodies, they do the service Saturday, boom, bury them on Sunday. So I didn't go to the services. I didn't want to see it. I didn't believe there was anything that I wanted it to see there. I didn't want to have that image of my dad laying in a casket.
Looking different.
The last time I saw him, I talked to him. So I went and I raced, and I won the race. So that trophy, my mom still has it in her nightstand. It's a little go-kart, obviously, trophy. And ever since, yes, I think a lot of the times, because from that time on, it wasn't just pretty, right? I mean, you have times that you want to give up. You have times that you're like, why do I do this? You have times that you go, my first question, you have a tendency, hopefully, like I said, I ask myself why, right? If people believe in God or not, I mean, I do, and then I would ask God, why me? And then it was very naive or very selfish for me to ask that. But, you're 13, you're thinking about it. And then you go beyond and say, you know what, I promised him that, and I think I'm good in what I do, so I'm going to keep going. And then every time I had a hard time that I thought about giving up, I remember that I promised him I wasn't going to. And that's why I'm here today. So hopefully, wherever
powerful.
He's at,
that's super
he's there.
Powerful. That to me is, there's a big old word called, neuroplasticity about like retraining your brain. And every day or every difficult time turned into a shift in power because you went from a negative to a positive and you remembered what you promised and you said, I'm going to do this. And instead of like going down a hole and not being able to get back out, you said, I'm going to do this. And like, that is a powerful thing that I feel like is applicable in any situation with any person
100%.
is having that and telling yourself you're going to do that. It's like, I'm thinking of a funny story of like the very first time. No, it was the only time I think maybe you drove my car. It was at the 500 and I was super unhappy. I'm like, this thing's a piece of shit. It's horrible. Anyone can get in this car and it'll be horrible. And you got in and you went out and because your freaking mindset when you get in the car is I go flat out and turn one for lap one. And you go by and you go flat out and turn one in my car, which does not fit you.
It pissed you off.
And you...
it was a little short on the pedals.
Did it feel good, though? Was it...
Well, it was two things, right? Like, I had...
I just want to make sure that I wasn't wrong. No.
No, you're not. And then again, I mean, you remember, the relationship we had in that team was extremely unique. I think I can say that.
Yeah.
And you maybe
it was very... We worked together.
Yes. And it was two things that went through my mind. First of all, I knew you well enough, and I knew you had to build your confidence. And then I knew if I had to gone through turn one flat out, I was going to piss you off so bad that didn't matter how bad that car was, you're going to do it. So I also had to but I said, how about if I crash this freaking thing? I'm going to have to give her my car. But as soon as I left the pits, and then the cars had the same setup, I knew was in your head. Obviously, I had more experience than you at the time. And I was like, There is no way. I mean, but I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But obviously, you leave the pits, you go to turn 3 and 4 with my experience, and I said, you know what, it's not that
It's
bad.
not that
and
bad.
I went flat. And
I
then,
know
and,
you did.
And
I know you did. But that's your mindset. And by the way, thank you for that.
You are. Anytime.
And I did. I went out
You
and
take me
it
enough in
magically,
your life. You don't have to.
magically felt much better after that. You must have tuned it right. Must have got the tire pressures right. But you know, that is your mindset. Like, I feel like when you get set on something, you do it. What's the next thing? Like, what's the next do it?
And that's what I'm saying. The next thing is, I've never, the way I grew up was always, with whatever I put my mindset to do it, which you can relate to that because I know you've done it, you prove it. You made it in a very tough sport that at the time it was a man sport. I'm going to do it. So what's next to make this team competitive? And I've been taking a lot of heat. It's funny that we're talking about this because you took a lot of heat in your life. The bigger you become, the more critics you have. Mm-hmm. And it's my mindset. I really, no disrespect to anybody that has an opinion about me. You're totally entitled to it. He's washed out. He's 44. He can't drive it anymore. This is my mindset. This is what I want to do. I respect your opinion, but I really don't care. This is what I want to do.
If you still feel like you can get up on that horse and go 240 miles an hour, then damn it, you can.
Exactly.
Because the day that you don't want to, like when I got towards the end, like I look back now and I'm thinking, Haley, who's worked for me forever, Haley, she sent me a 1-year post photo of me standing by the car with my sister's little girls, and I sent a message back going, I'm so glad it's not, I said, I'm so glad it's 2019, because it's scary as shit. I mean, you haven't arrived at that place yet where you're gone from it, but what we did, what you still do, it's crazy as hell.
It is, but I don't know any other way. So basically, I was having, more and more as the years go by, you have those type of conversations, either in an interview or at home. Lauren's like, dude, you have 4 kids.
Yeah, what does she say about it?
We have, gladly, thank God, we have more money than we thought we could have. We don't, it's not about the money. It was never about the money.
Which is why you're successful.
Yeah, I
never thought about that either.
Yeah, we're like, I'm going to race because I want to be rich. That was...
You're attaching yourself to the wrong outcome to manifest that to happen.
Exactly. So I said, it's one of those things. The day that I wake up and I think like you said, the shit's so dangerous, I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm probably gonna stop. And the question, I just had this conversation last week with her because we're getting to a point that she's like, but when is that? So, no, she asked me, she says, well, how about, what are you planning? Are you doing like DP did? We call her DP because, anyway, would you announce your retirement and go through like a season that everybody, I don't know, I'm very emotional. I went to your farewell party and I was crying myself.
I was bawling.
No, but not as much as I would probably even be able to speak. So I said, I don't know. I haven't decided that. I don't think I might wake up. I don't know. I might wake up tomorrow and I'm going to say, this is my last race. I don't care if it's 3 races to go, 5 races to go. If I feel like I'm not doing this, I'm not the type of guy. No, I'm going to sit there and then drive at 230 miles an hour just because I have commitments to people. It's
so you stay like you have, and I'm sure like me, like you just stay attached to this process and you stay attached to the job, and it is what it is, and you're moving forward. And I mean, I can't even say that I got excited about the season to start because I knew it was coming. Like, yes, I'm happy for it, but it's not like I'm like itching to get back in the car again. And so when in 2017, when my sponsor left, which, you've been around long enough to see me.
Twice. It happened to me twice.
I haven't, like, that was a new problem for me. And so you get like I, for the first time, was faced with this scenario of like, what if they just fire me? What if, especially NASCAR with gigantic budgets, like what if they just let me go? And then I had this rush of feeling of like, I'm not ready. And I'm telling you, it felt really good because I didn't think like that. I didn't think like, oh my God, I'm excited, I'm ready, let's do this. Oh, racing's the
But
best.
because
And
it was comfortable, right?
it was comfortable, and then
There was
but
no
then
challenge.
right? And also, you get put in that squeeze position where you're like, what do you feel? And I felt, oh shit, I'm not ready, and it felt really good to feel that. But here's the problem: it planted a seed, and so. This is my experience in retirement, anyway.
That's good.
as a
I'm
retired
getting.
once.
I'm getting that.
Yeah, but it planted the seed of like, but like not just like the idea in a distant way, and not feeling into that, because that's the magic of like feeling into something. Like you feel into being successful or winning or retiring or whatever. You have to like feel the emotions and imagine your life without it, right? So I started imagining, where would I go, what would I do, where would I live, what would I, all these scenarios running through my head, these like further scenarios than just the concept of retiring. And I was like, man, that's not so bad.
But that's why I looked at it, and I talked. Obviously, I'm talking to you. I talked to Michael Andretti. I talked to Dale Jr. about it. I talked to Tony Stewart about it. Just as a casual conversation, and I'm not afraid of that. And in a way, I'm not the type of person that, like I just said, I'm like, what's next? I know I will find something.
Yeah.
So to me, it's still, I think. Through the years when you remember when I left Andretti, my sponsor left and they fired me, and I had 5 years into my contract and I had to go and figure it out. So I went back home to Brazil, found a bunch of sponsors, came back, and
you still wanted it.
3 years later, I won the 500.
Yeah.
And then I went to Ganassi, which was a big team, and like you were like a lot of pressure, the champion, and I had a tough teammate, Dixon. I mean,
Deal
come
with
on.
Chip.
And Chip, and the
Who
pressure
owns the team.
the pressure got into me, and the pressure to perform, and I think, to be honest, during those 4 years, I've thought about retirement, because I was getting beat, not just at the racetrack but mentally, and people are trying, well, this is how you got to drive like Scott Dixon. This is the car Dixon drives fast. How can I said, guys, let me put it this way: if I was able to just copy what he does, then it will be easy. Or any team
Anybody
that has
could
a
get
good
it,
car,
yeah.
everybody's gonna what? We're gonna fucking we're gonna freaking
You can swear all you want.
finish 4
Say
guys.
whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, thank you. So, and that really got into me. And so my last year at Ganassi, I told Chip in his face that I knew I didn't do a good job for him, and then I shouldn't be there because for some reason it wasn't clicking. And that's when it was, what's next? And I'm like, do I want to keep racing or not? And then I meet AJ, and AJ says, hey, come on, let's build this team. So that's my fire.
So you had a new goal.
It's a new goal. It's a
new
new goal. It's a
goal.
team
And a
that has
different
finished
goal.
that last in the championship.
Right.
Now we're getting the sponsors getting excited because I
You're
remember
like LeBron in Cleveland when he came back.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm
I
gonna
wish.
do this.
I wish. I hope I can do that. But it is kind of that. You know what I mean? Like, in my mind was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. And then I remember, because Larry Ford came to me and says, why you want to race for me? Like you're Tony Kanaan. I'm like, exactly. I'm just a normal race car driver, and I want to make you guys successful. So last year, you were there, and we led a bunch of laps at the 500, and they were thrilled. So basically, that's why I'm doing it. So yes, do I love racing? 100%. Do I feel like you sometimes that, man, I got to travel. Man, I got the hotels and the buses, and like, I have to
the
police
bullshit that goes along
exactly.
with it, the
I
interviews,
have to
the
police
promos,
myself.
the
Exactly.
blah,
Hey,
blah.
don't forget. You got to say ABC
I was so
Supply,
bad
Honda,
at saying
Chevrolet.
my sponsor. I was so bad. I had to go to media training after, like, I was an INDYCAR driver. I was the
And
end
that's
of my
where they're
INDYCAR
worse,
career.
because in I have, like, I'm old enough now that I can say, guys, I am not doing this.
Yeah.
I will plug you guys in, but I'm not going to start my interview. My number 14 car with ABC Supply, Chevy Firestone
Hey,
Dollar.
look, your
Like,
cute story got
no.
it in, though. Good job.
Yeah, here we go. Not happening. No, I'm not plugging it in. I'm just saying that's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not my style.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in years. I think my fans know. I mean, I've always, it's funny because, let's say I've known you for so long, and then I go see an interview, and I'm like, that's fucked up. That's not her. They are telling her what to do. Yeah, just to begin the interview. After that, you become yourself. But you're like, yes, my, go, daddy. I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
And then everybody's the same. So you're watching that. You're like, really, man?
I always felt like they interview me because I don't do that.
Exactly.
Right? Because you're interesting, because you're
Exactly.
controversial, or because you say what you want. You answer the damn question.
Exactly.
And so when you change into the person to serve your sponsor that just says the names, they're not going to want to talk to you anymore. So what? Now I'm not a valuable commodity, or I
Correct.
don't help your bottom line because I'm not on TV. Look at my damn suit. It's
Yeah,
all
it's
over
right
the
here,
place. It's all
right
over,
here,
it's
right
all
here. I mean,
over
it's
the
like,
place,
come on.
right?
I agree.
Yeah. So I stand your ground. Don't you lose that fire.
Hey, I'm
You just-
44. It
yeah.
ain't changing it. It's only getting worse.
I feel like the fire is just dying.
The more and more I do whatever the hell I want, you know what I
fire
mean?
died at the end for me, too.
It gets to the point that it's just not. So anyway, but that's what gets me going.
Yeah.
And that's what, I still want to do it. And yes, I can assure you that I don't have more than 2 years left.
Yeah.
On myself. And I keep telling my friends that too, and I will ask you as well as a friend, because it's hard. When you see an old person driving a car on the street and they're all over the place, but they
I
still
live
think
part of the
they
year
can
in
drive.
Scottsdale. Of course, I see old
Exactly.
people driving cars.
So I'm asking my friends, my close friends, if I'm doing that on the race car, that I'm not good enough anymore, and you guys see that, please pull me aside discreetly and tell me that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you just have to, I don't know if it's one of those things where you wake up one day and you realize, because you're going to have to think different for that to happen, or something is going to have to happen. And you don't want something to happen that's bad, because a lot of times that's what it's going to be, right? And so you kind of want to just check in on some level. So like what, that kind of leads me to another topic that is I think an important one. And you talked about how with Ganassi, you were getting beat into the ground, and there's a lot of pressure, and just kind of like zap the fun out of it a little bit. What things do you do?
And then just to
that are-
rephrase that, like, I was beating myself down with the pressure. Nobody was there.
They
like,
were too. That's me saying it, but that's me. Tony did not say that.
No.
That was-
You know how it goes.
Yeah, well,
It
you
comes from
know you have a
both
good
sides.
car, so you
Exactly.
put the pressure
And
on
your
yourself.
teammates
and
winning
your teammate-
championships, and you're
right,
like-
so you put the pressure on yourself.
Yes,
Of course,
yes.
of course, and that is the expectation level too.
Correct.
So it's coming from both sides, but the self one is the most important one. So so let's keep on the self. So what did you do to counter that? Like, I had certain things over time that I had to do, but what did you do did you even know that you had to counter that with
100%.
certain self? Okay, what did you do?
Well, not 100%. I've got somebody, my wife made me aware of it. And the only way, unfortunately, the way I got presented was I was being an extremely miserable human being at home with my wife, with my kids.
Like, what does that? I know the
so
Tony. I know the happy-go-lucky Tony. What's the miserable Tony?
Extremely moody, very short, and I wasn't rude to them, but I wasn't present. Nothing it would excite me. Oh, let's go to the pool. Whatever, the pool. And I'll be in the pool sitting there like,
You could have gone to the doctor. They'd have definitely given you pills, I'm sure.
for sure. So she grabbed me one day and she says, "Look, I don't know if how you take this, because I don't. There's one thing about Tony. I will listen to your criticism, but that doesn't mean I would accept it really well. I don't like it. I'm working on that. But so anyway, we sat down and she's like, just look at you. I want to." She went all the way back to my childhood, and look what you became. Look the family that you have. Look what we have. Look at your kids. And so I'm not saying for you to if you don't want to be grateful for that, it's totally fine. It's your choice. I'm trying to show you so you can look around and maybe you can see some happiness. You're not, the way she put it, it touched me so hard. She says, we're okay. The one that is not okay is you. The one that is missing, it's you. We're not missing anything. We miss you, But the kids are still happy. They still have fun. I still have fun. I still love my kids. I still love my life. You're missing it. So I have to say I cried, and that hit me pretty hard. And then I said, you know what? So that's
Well, you realized the work was on you.
Correct.
Right? Which is always the hardest thing. You want something else to fix it, somebody else to fix
Correct.
it.
And as a race car driver, you blame on the car, you blame on the team.
It's the best part about the jobs. You can blame the car.
Exactly. So, like, it's not like
So
basketball
what
or
did you
football.
do?
If you threw a bad
Yeah.
ball,
You threw it like you hit
it's your fault. I'm like, no, that was my guy that didn't give. You can't do that. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
so
The racket's the same. It's supposed to hit the ball that's the same that goes over. It didn't make it over the net. I can't help it.
so I said, all right. I thought about it, and then that was probably the first time that I said, do I need to give up racing to be happy? That was my first question. And a follow-up right after that says, well, no, because I'm not happy because my racing is not good. So where's the balance? And that's when I decided that I was not going to stay where I was. Although I had good friends there, I became really close to Dixon, but it wasn't a good environment for me. It was putting a lot of pressure on myself, but I wanted it to keep racing. But at this time, at this point of my career, I had gone from winning the 500 to one of the top teams in INDYCAR with a teammate that it was extremely tough, extremely talented. It has won 5 championships, 3 since I signed.
Whose nickname is the Iceman.
Exactly. So I wasn't really getting hired by another top team. I'm 42 years old.
You basically
You're
raced for
done.
all but one of them.
You're just like, guys, Tony, you had a good one. Thank you.
No, you had a great one. Even if you stopped then.
Thank you.
Great one.
Realize maybe. So I'm like, all right. So, and I looked around and I said, well, what's next? And then I said, well, that is AJ. Same thing I did with KV when I left Andretti. We built the team. And so I signed a 3-year deal with him, which is I'm in the middle of my 2nd year. And we're talking about maybe an extra one, and that would be it. But I knew for a fact when I signed with him, that was going to be my last contract.
So, are you telling me that you found a new goal?
100%.
Is that what,
Well,
was that the self-work? I mean, what was it,
Well-
when Lauren had that heart-to-heart with you so beautifully, what was it what did you do? Something has to change
Yes.
in your routine or in your mindset
my
or both.
My mindset has to change.
Right.
And I had to actually start to separate again my racing life to my personal life.
Right.
Although I'm not good at it, obviously. I got called on it. I had to find a new goal in my profession to be able to be happy on my personal life as a transition, because I don't think that's right. And then you should separate things.
Sure.
Although I'm still allowed to come home and be mad at her or mad with her and say, please just let me be mad, because I can't be mad at those guys, because
With
I'm
a
gonna get
caveat, you
fired.
can say anything you want. It's like, with
Yeah.
all due respect, anything.
And she's like, yeah, go ahead, let it go. But
Yeah.
I've learned, I had to relearn how to enjoy my life, even because you go from winning a lot of not winning, and then you questioning yourself.
Of course.
Right? Is
Oh
that
my God,
me?
you questioned yourself? It's like, I mean,
am I good enough? And I do, because everybody's saying I'm not. So.
but that's not true. But it is easy for those thoughts to creep in when things aren't going as well. You think to yourself, well, is it me? Have I lost something?
You do,
right?
you
and
do. I
then
mean,
you go down that whole rabbit hole on yourself, and that's a dangerous place to go, because those are such negative thoughts.
It is.
So then you obviously started thinking positive.
So the first
right?
thing
You
I
started saying,
did-
like, I'm Tony fucking Kanaan. Like,
cor-
I am amazing.
Correct.
Right?
But
That's what I
actually,
always said
the
about
only
myself.
thing I've did was I didn't know how I could change that in my job, because if I was going to rely on results, I wasn't going to the right team. Let's face it, we're building the team. So the results were not going to come. If I'm going to say, oh, no, I need to win a race to be happy, that was going to be a problem. So I've changed my attitude at home first. And then life.
Like, what'd you do? I mean, these are things
DP,
that
I woke up, honestly, after that conversation, I said, I have to be different. So obviously it wasn't a switch, but I would pay more attention during the day when I was being negative to myself and I was affecting other people. And instead to go, fuck, I gotta wake up 7 a.m. and these kids are gonna be yelling, they're gonna be crying, they're not gonna eat their breakfast, and they have to brush their teeth. Then I gotta put them in the car and I gotta take them to school, and they're gonna fight who's gonna open the door of the car. And You go, you know what? And Lauren is completely the opposite. You know my wife.
Yeah.
You've known her
so
since
sweet.
the day we met. She laughs about everything. The kid, they threw a cracker through like the table. Ha ha. Well, I'm like, you can't do that.
Oh, look at the new artwork on the wall, honey.
Relax, man. So I've started to learn that and enjoy more, even the bad stuff. You know, like okay, well, because honestly, we get spoiled. You know that.
Yeah.
We become celebrities in a way. Everything works. We get to a restaurant, we don't wait.
Yeah,
We
sure.
like, oh my God, this and that. So I'm like, I want to become a little bit more normal. Which moving to Indy wasn't a big help because everybody knows me here. But
Yeah.
so I started to enjoy that. And eventually things started to change and I start to see good things on that. And then I start to enjoy my work and I start to enjoy being at home and look at myself also. I think we kind of get carried on and look back and see, you know what about the people that wake up 4 a.m. and have to do that and still go to work for 10, 12 hours a day, like, I don't know, behind a counter, or they hate their jobs.
With no windows.
No,
and
nothing.
something
And then
like
they
that
come
where-
home and they can't make ends meet at the end of them. I'm like,
Yeah.
just all that came.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, to me, and then I went back to Brazil. We're talking about 2 years ago, ever since that conversation. And I do a lot of charity things there. And we have a foundation that we help kids that have no moms and no dads or got abandoned. And we do Christmas for them and we buy a bunch of the gifts. And then you start getting back. You
Yeah.
just get that stuff back and you go, you know
Well-
what? I don't have it that bad. Just because my racing is not okay.
But you have to see it, right? You have to go.
Yes.
The first step is identifying. So you go, oh, I get to. Oh, it might be a wonderful day. Like back in the INDYCAR days when, things were a little relentless for me too. Haley and I had this whole kittens and rainbows thing. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but we were like, she'd knock on the bus door to come get me to do interviews before we'd go to the trailer for meetings. And she'd be like, hello, good morning. It's kittens and rainbows today. And we'd just like ham it up, and not because we were feeling that way, but because we had to force ourselves to feel that way. So the first thing is like, you can either fake it till you believe it, which really does work, or you can identify the times where you're being negative and flip it. And then through that repetition, you probably naturally were just in a happier state because
Correct.
you trained yourself to switch it, so having the negative is fine, but you have to recognize that you had it, then switch it and think, oh no, I get to do this. My life is wonderful. And then over enough time, it just gradually becomes the dominant emotion.
And I think that is two things. One is you look at yourself and you go, how bad you really have it. We're in a sport that is extremely selfish. So you become selfish. You think everything it's you, and you start, you get married or you have a boyfriend or you have a family. Then you go, well, it's not all about me. Yeah, that's
Did
what
kids change that a lot for you, do you think? Or was it more like life experiences?
The
Or
kids
they
did-
say kids are. I don't have kids,
The kids did change a lot because, they're innocent people, especially when they're little, and they tell you the truth right in your face. So sometimes you get home and you don't have time to debate about that race because you're just there, looking, or you go watch. I don't have time
Or
for
you
that
come home, they're
anymore.
like, "Daddy, it's so good to see you." And
Exactly,
You're
and
like,
they hug you. And hey, you want to play choo-choo train with me, or you want? Then you go,
it's
yeah,
not-
and then it goes.
It's
it
not
goes,
like you
know.
said, "Did you see how I did today?
exactly.
Are you sure you still love me?" Of course not.
So the other day, the best line my 4-year-old told me the other day, says, "Dad, when you didn't used to suck," because he hasn't seen me win a race. It's been 4 years. So I said, "Yeah,
my
Deco, when
God.
I didn't used to suck, we used to win a lot of races on the green car, right?" I said, "Yeah, correct, correct."
The 7-Eleven card.
Here we go. But that keeps you. You laugh and you go, yes. So
Right.
that it's nowadays it's. I'm not saying I don't have bad moments. I don't want to sit here.
Yeah,
and say,
no, that's
oh
that's
my
being
God,
human.
it changed my life. And
Well, if you never have a negative thought,
but I
then
go to the track
you're
and I
a monk
enjoy it.
living in a
And
mountain.
I think because I know I'm getting towards the end,
Yeah.
I'm trying to enjoy every moment. So
yeah.
we came here today.
Yeah.
I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
My guy, Benito, it's your Haley. It's been with me forever.
Yep.
Messed up the date. So 3 years ago, he would hear all day long. I'll be mad. I would be like, so we sat down. You're in here. You're actually, because you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I sat with David and we said, oh, here we go. Let's do this. I actually had Deco with me. He wanted it to meet you.
I
but
am
then
so bummed that he
that's
didn't come
fine.
back with you.
You'll see him. But
Okay.
he's Dad, I don't want to go back.
Oh.
Because he was watching.
He's so
an
honest.
iPad,
He's
you
like,
know.
no, this
He
is better, man.
He is.
Home is better.
I want to play with my cars. I said, go ahead. And I said, all right, well, can we do this? Can we arrange? Let's go back. Well, and I come back in an hour.
Yeah.
If it was before, I'll be mad. I'll be yelling at him the entire way home. You fucked up. We can't do that at this point. Whatever, man. We're still having a great conversation. I have 400 other things to do after this because we got to go to the Speedway for some parties. But
Yeah.
I learned.
That's awesome.
Again, it still gets to me sometimes.
Of course.
But it takes a lot longer nowadays.
Yeah.
Than they used
Well,
to.
that's a beautiful flow, and you kind of just never. And it's like a common word that I think to myself is flow, because it's those times when things don't go right that either, oh my God, you have a fantastic story, or it leads you to a place that you wouldn't have been, or you maybe, it's the whole butterfly effect or sliding doors sort of
Correct.
thing where, if this didn't happen, these others wouldn't. And you just have to respect that dynamic in life, and that, it's all leading you to where you need to go. And of course you have to do your best, right? Like Benito will definitely be double checking the
Trust me, he
European
felt
versus
extremely bad,
American dates of 4-5-5-4.
But trust me, I think he felt more bad that I actually said, Manny, it's all right. You're allowed to make a mistake, but please don't do it again. Instead of yell at him and
just
you'll be
double check
pissed, and
it.
I would be talking to him for 2 days, which had happened before. Trust me, our relationship has improved as well.
Yeah.
As I'm pretty sure you and Haley get into each other. Sometimes she makes you do things that you don't want to do.
I think she said the other day, I was arguing with her on something a little bit, and she goes, DP, same team here. And I was like, shit, that's right.
I'm
yes,
working for
you're on
you.
my
It's not
side.
like Benny says, I mean, if you don't want to do any interviews, not my problem. It's not going to change my life. You think about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I've learned how to relax.
That's so good. So, one thing that I do to relax, that I love for me, and I'm maybe you're the same. Like, I love working out.
Well, yeah, I do. You know me.
So I've never, like, there was one time we were at the gym at the same time. It was at where was it? Over off of it was like St. Vincent
No, it was at the Speedway. Remember?
in the
Speedway
dungeon
gym
in the
dungeon.
basement.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I don't really see what you do, but you're super duper fit, and you always have been. You've always been like very lean, mean fighting machine. So, like, what do you really do?
Too many things nowadays because we have so many options, and I know, like,
Are you an overtrainer? Because I'm a total admitted overtrainer.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, today
More is better.
Time, can we say the time here, the real time?
Yeah,
It's
sure.
What,
Yeah,
what,
sure. Go. It's
4:25, and today I already worked out for 4 hours.
Oh my God.
I rode my bike for 3. But rode my bike, people don't think I'm just getting there with my little basket and my dog.
This isn't a joyride.
No. So it was raining. I was supposed to go ride.
Wait, so you were outside?
No.
Okay.
So I woke up. It was raining. We have a group of guys that we do a hard ride on Saturdays, and it was raining. So I got on my trainer and I rode staring at TV for 3 hours. And
What did you watch?
everything. I actually on my list right now. I'm watching The Blacklist, which is
yeah.
So I have some catch up to do because I haven't been able to. So if you guys know anything that happened yesterday, I haven't watched that. So please don't tell me. Just watch a movie or stuff like that.
Yeah, I do
catch
that
up on
sometimes too. Actually, I've migrated towards not even listening to music. Sometimes I'll put on like a podcast
Actually, that's
or a
what
YouTube video or something like that.
Funny enough, I'm going to
to
give you a podcast. Somebody gave it to me last week. I don't recall the name, but once we're done, I'll look. It's actually a book about overtraining.
Damn it! I don't want to read that.
It's a podcast.
I'd rather stay in my lane.
It's a
No.
podcast, actually.
That's
I got
awesome.
the podcast.
I
so
love
anyway,
that stuff.
But yeah, so nowadays, I would say probably I'm in the best shape I've ever been. It's just because
That's
I have.
saying something, buddy.
Yeah, well, I'm not getting any younger. I think when you're younger, you can go by and just do
right.
the
You don't-
minimum, the bare minimum, and
Yeah.
you're still there.
Yeah.
I'm 100% convinced that that's what's keeping me, still at my job. But basically, what I do,
By the way, having been gone from INDYCARs for 7 years, And
How
coming
hard
back
was
last
it?
year, oh my God, that shit is so hard.
Exactly.
Oh my
It's
God.
getting
I
harder.
couldn't turn the wheel the
Yeah.
first day. When I had to do the refresher, I was like, oh my God.
And you're not the type of person that you stop working out. It's
I am more fit than I ever was when I drove Indy cars, for sure. I do CrossFit. I don't ride bike for I don't work out
but
for 4 hours.
that doesn't matter.
But I mean I'm as strong as I have ever been, for sure. And I got in the car and I was like, I can't turn
I know.
the wheel.
So,
oh shit.
Over the years, so since I've moved to Indy a year ago, in my life it's pretty boring actually, because I take the kids to school every morning if I'm home.
You get to take the kids
I
to
get
school.
to take the kids. I want to take the kids
Yeah.
with the minivan, which everybody makes fun of me.
Please, do you seriously have a minivan?
I drove it here, but now I didn't because we swapped cars. But I came here with the minivan.
Can we take a picture in front
Black,
of it?
black
Oh my
wheels,
God.
dark windows, so they don't know who's driving. But I have it. It's a little.
Because the most popular question to ask a race car driver is, what do you drive?
we have a minivan.
So, the fun things to answer are like, I've got a Lamborghini, I've got a Ferrari. But the other fun answer is, I have a minivan.
I do, and actually,
You can't go in the middle. Like, the Tahoe's not going to do the trick.
But I have to say,
You're going to need to
people,
say minivan.
I don't think you. Obviously, you don't have one, but they do not respect you if you drive a minivan. If they can't cut you off, they will cut you off. If when you're coming, like you're gonna actually you're fighting for a lane, they go, shit, it's a minivan, I gotta get ahead of it. And then they will do whatever they
100%.
can to chop you off. I'm like, what? So I'm driving I drive the minivan every morning. And then I drop the kids at school and I come home because it's really close, and I'll swap cars because
And
actually
get into your Ferrari.
No. I get into my Tahoe.
I love Tahoes.
But we swap because actually I go to the gym and Lauren actually picks them up because the kids are still small. They're little, so they only go to school for 4 hours. 11:30 they're out and I'm still at the gym. So, but my life is, but anyway, I get on my own car and people don't do the stuff that they just did to me 5 minutes ago. So it is it is something about the minivan. I take the kids to school around 8:00. I go to the gym here in town and do very specific things. I've learned, I'm trying to get more flexible, which I was always the type of guy that lift a lot of weights, and getting older, I was really
Do we need to do a yoga class when I come back for the 500?
Yes. I actually
Namaste.
started, Lauren is doing it a lot, so I started.
I can actually recommend some stuff to do at home.
Perfect. It's the hardest
online
thing I've ever done.
Yeah, there's Yoga Glow is what I use online, and you just search in I have 30 minutes or I have 60 minutes, and you're like, oh, level
I'll
1, 2, 3.
pick you up on that.
And, anyway.
But
I
it's
can
the
help you out.
hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, it's like I sucked at it. I'm bad at it. But anyway, so I
Yeah.
go to the gym. We're doing a lot of new things and exciting things at the gym nowadays. I spend 2.5 hours every morning. Apart from lifting, we do a lot of circuit, a little bit of CrossFit because I love. But now we have.
Have you done CrossFit? properly?
for 6 years.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we should do.
Yeah, let's do
Screw
it.
yoga.
Let's do
Let's
it.
go to CrossFit.
But also we have nowadays this amazing technology and TVs and we can use for your reflexes. So basically, it's this big 72-inch TV with this computer
Is this
program.
PitFit that you go to?
With Jim, with PitFit. And they put a program in and you have to hit this little blue ball as fast as you can in 1 minute. And then obviously we have 7 drivers that work out at the same time. And so it becomes a competition. So you become better at that.
Who's
more
the
agile.
sharpest and who's the least?
So
I mean,
I'm
it's
not
just
gonna say-
science.
I'm not going to
It's
say
just-
the list.
It's just science.
The fastest one is actually Kyle Kaiser, which is an Indy Lights driver. Young kid.
Yeah,
Technology.
You'll be gone.
Are you
before he gets
surprised?
in. Yeah.
But Dixon is still pretty good
It's
at
just
it.
his dexterity. He's just really good with the texting thing.
Exactly. It's kids nowadays, millenniums they call, right? So
Gen whatever.
to that 2.5 hours in the morning, and then I go for my bike rides for 2 hours in the afternoon. So in a week, I would say I will do 19 to 20 hours of workouts.
So you work out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
If I'm not racing, every
So
day.
do you ever take an off day?
No, the off day will be something really easy, like a yoga stretch,
Yeah.
or a easy cardio, just to keep
Yeah.
it. We call the active recovery,
which is
the
just really
biggest
code
bullshit
for
ever.
it's just code for I don't want to do nothing.
It's not good. Actually, I have to say that's why I'm listening to this podcast of the recovery, because
Yeah.
I don't believe that my body hurts if I don't work out.
Yeah.
Like if I take a day off, I wake up and I don't know,
worse.
probably it's in my mind, but I feel pain here, there, or at my age.
Well, thoughts become things. So look, I mean, there's a lot worse things to be thinking than
100%.
oh man, if I don't work out today, my body won't feel good.
But you know, it's just you get used to it. I've done it all my life.
So you lift heavy weights then? I mean, you've always been really muscular.
Twice a week. Yeah.
Twice a week.
Yeah. So but that's because I like it.
Yeah.
Right. So the way I structure my workout is, I gotta do everything that I need to do to be able to drive the race car, because which is the core, the shoulder, the neck, you know, the stretching, reflex.
Yeah.
So that's integrated to every workout I do.
Got it.
But once that's done, then what's fun?
So what's your love then?
What's
cycling.
CrossFit and
what?
cycling.
Oh my god! I had no
CrossFit,
idea.
burpees, and you know all the stuff that I. So then I do that just because you know, for fun. The cycling, the triathlons. I do a lot of triathlons. I still squeeze some swimming and running during
Back
the
to
week.
CrossFit. So what are your favorite moves and what are your least favorite moves?
I suck at, you know, going up
gymnastics.
Like anything that has to do with it.
Can you do ring muscle ups?
I can, one or two, but I want to do like
I'm
10.
not. I've been able to do them sporadically, but I never commit to practicing because I'm not that good.
I hurt my shoulder trying
not
to
good
do
then.
it, so I haven't done it in 8 months because I'm afraid. Now that they fixed it, and then it was actually, that's the biggest problem, right? We get competitive. You can do whatever you want now, but while I'm still driving, I can't hurt myself, so I won't be able to drive the car.
Tony, that's what happened with NASCAR because it's so much easier physically. I just started doing whatever
Whatever
I
you want.
wanted.
Yeah,
Because I didn't need to be recovered for the weekend
I asked,
because it just didn't matter.
Jimmy Johnson, I'm like, Jimmy, how can you run 20 miles before you get in the car? He's like, why?
Because it's so easy.
Yeah, you do that before
Now,
you drive an INDYCAR. You can't wake up in the morning.
Maybe that's not super duper smart.
No,
like
I
when it's
understand.
Richmond and it's really hot out in the summer, and then it's but yeah, I mean from a muscle.
But we can't do that in INDYCAR. Can you drove it last year? I mean, that is
Dude,
like
when I drove IndyCars, I was afraid to hold a magazine for too long and flip the pages because my forearms would be fatigued. Like I was super careful about overworking and being recovered. And with NASCAR, I didn't have to worry about that. So I can't wait to see what you look like after being out of the car for a year.
Yeah, it's you know, I don't think I will do what you did. I don't think if I'm not driving, when the day that I'm driving long enough.
So you think it's just going to be ice cream and walks?
Oh, that's it. That's it.
It will not.
No. I'm saying no. Sorry, I thought you say if I take a year off and I go back in the race car.
No.
Oh no. The day that I retire, I'm just honestly, first of all, I'll be 20 pounds heavier muscle wise because I just like
Start
it.
lifting.
I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm all into my
Yeah.
body fat. I mean,
Okay.
I hate the way I look right now because I look like a little rat that is. I can't. You know, I want to be bigger.
The good news
you know?
is we have cameras on, so everybody can see that you're not a
You
little
know, I
rat.
went-
like
no,
you're-
well, but
if
I
you
went-
were to like take your like, I'm not going to do it, but if you were to show everyone,
I
your
would
abs,
take my shirt off, but I think it's, you know, with all the respect, I'm
Look,
all
it's,
dressed up.
you
We do
look
that
fine.
in
Just
another podcast.
Everyone can trust. they
But
can
I went
find
to see the
photos of you.
CrossFit Games in Froome.
Did
right?
you?
Yes.
Oh man, I went last 2 years.
And the guy, like, he's my size and he's 100.
Are you talking about Rich?
Rich.
Yeah, I know
He's-
Rich.
You know him. I saw pictures that
Yeah.
you saw him.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
my height. I want to be that size. I want to be, you know,
Yeah.
I'm 5'5". I'm 150
Honestly,
pounds. I'm a wimp.
You know why you will? Because you will have you already know what it's like to put that many hours
Yes,
in.
yes.
And look, all you have to do is keep lifting.
And eat, which I like.
Well,
The
that's
right
the next
stuff.
thing is so Rich never had like a really. So I mean, I've seen him. You know, he's stayed at the house before. Like I've seen what he wakes up and has. So he would like skip breakfast, but he would show up usually having stopped at a grocery store of some sort and bought like pounds of deli meat and some cheese, and then he'd just like snack on that stuff, and it was like sumo style, like big huge dinner, like no breakfast. Meat, and cheese.
But see, I
and then-
want to do that. I just, you know,
but
I have,
now he
right
does.
I'm-
Now he does. Now he is particular because he has ailments, right? He has like his knees
Well,
and stuff.
I'm pretty sure
so
I'll get into
do you-
like the proper people to not to get hurt. But
yeah, I can help you with all that stuff. Even though you already look 10 times better
no,
than
I
I
have.
ever have.
No,
than I
that's
ever
not
have.
true. That's not true.
But so, is there a diet? Do you do anything specific with your diet?
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm
big
like
time.
the queen of diet phases.
Yes, I obviously every year I do a metabolic test, so I know exactly what my body burns if I just lay in bed all day long.
I did a metabolism test, but I just did one where it was like, do I have a high or low metabolism? And I was like right on normal.
Basically,
Oh, man.
my body right now, as I got older, I kept dropping. I went from burning 1,600 calories a day to 1,200 calories a day. As your heart rate, you get older,
sure.
your metabolism slows
Sure.
down. So basically, with that, you go and you put how many calories you burn a day, average, right? So
The resting is doing nothing, right? That's
it's
just a
it's
breathe.
a math.
That's just that's just being alive.
They just say if you just lay in bed all day long, you're gonna burn 1,200. So basically, you can eat 1,200, but if you go work out, I burn actually pretty much 36 to 3,800 calories a day between
out.
my workouts and.
Oh,
so
is that including resting?
the 1,200 plus.
Plus another 36.
No, plus another
20
24.
I'm terrible at-
24.
yes,
Yeah, me too.
yes.
But we got it.
That's why we drive the cars and we have engineers that figure out all the math.
Correct. So, and with that, then we have, I don't call it diet because I don't like to call diet. I call it a healthy
lifestyle.
way of living.
Yeah.
Right? So
I agree.
I allow myself twice a week to have a cheat meal, which is not a full meal. It's either one dessert or if I want to have a burger because I want to have a burger.
What's your favorite dessert?
I love desserts. I love key lime pies and cheesecakes. So in a cheesecake, you go to the Cheesecake Factory, it's 1,600 calories.
There you
but
go.
But that I don't make that math,
Yeah.
right? So, but usually
Do you really eat that many calories in a day as far as like
No.
your resting and your like
No,
what
I
you
can't.
burn? That's a lot of food.
I can't because it's too much food. So basically, I'm allowed to cheat like that.
Yeah.
But I'm actually extremely, I would call boring as far as my meals go because, especially with
Do you follow a certain diet of like gluten, dairy, keto?
I eat everything.
Paleo.
I've never. I don't feel bad. I don't.
Yeah.
I know some people said, "Oh, I've changed this.
Yeah.
I went, lactose free, and I'm awesome."
Yeah.
I never really was a big milk
Yeah.
drinker. I drink a lot of almond milk.
You with more energy could be dangerous since you
Exactly. I
already work
don't
out
need it
for 4
anymore.
hours a day.
So I drink a lot of almond milk, but I mean I'm simpler. So when we cook at home because of the lifestyle and it's so busy, I don't want to what we're gonna have today. So we cook every Sunday. Lauren and I we make all the food for the whole week. So ground beef, ground turkey,
Oh my
all the and we have it, but we have that all week. If you come eat in the house today, you're going to have ground beef and sweet potato. If you come next week, you're going to have ground beaf and sweet potato.
So just let me know what you're having each week while I'm here for the.
Okay, I'll bring it to you.
And
we have the portions. And then, I'm a little particular about that. I do actually weight my food.
You do scale it.
Yes.
Yeah. So you do macros.
Yes. But nowadays, obviously, with the travel, I'm not bringing a scale everywhere I go, right? I'll go to the restaurant and say, can I have this?
Can I have a spare plate too?
So
I've learned
how to measure my portions
Visually.
by visually.
Totally.
And obviously, you're gonna call lean meat in a restaurant, and you're not gonna have it. So I'm kind of you gotta have to be a little bit more flexible. But obviously, I love numbers. I'm all about the body fat. I get mad when I'm over 10%, and it just drives me nuts. So it's.
I've never tested for good reason.
You shouldn't because it's addicting.
Oh my.
So as long as here's the thing.
Knowledge is power, though, right? So then you know your calories,
but you shouldn't.
your
but
body fat.
But no, you shouldn't because my thing is I'm trying to change that. Is if you look yourself in the mirror and you think you look good, it doesn't matter if you're 20% body fat because then you look the way you like the way you look.
Yeah.
The problem is if
perception, right?
Exactly.
It's where was dad cheating or was it a go-kart perception,
Or
right?
but you also don't want to become a slave of your body because to get the way people do in pictures, they don't do that all year long, as you know.
I do, yeah. I mean, for the cover of my book, I mean, for my book Pretty Intense, I worked out. I mean, I worked out a ton. I always work out a lot, but the few months before, I started being really particular about my food, and I carried my food everywhere with me. Like everywhere I went, I had a cooler. I was very particular. I ate a ton of stuff, and I ate lots of food, but I was very particular that it was my prepared food. Yeah. And then towards the end, I got more and more picky as it came, but I didn't want to crash diet for a month. I wanted some time. But yeah, I mean, those aren't real. You don't look like that every day walking around. And if you do,
and then for what, right? And for who? And what is it? So
once you get there, you realize that you're like, oh, now what? can you just, everyone just look at me right now real quick? Okay, yeah, I'm going to go have a cheeseburger now.
Yeah, and then
But-
with the kids, it's tough. Like we're all like, the kid says, "Hey, Dad, let's go eat a cheeseburger."
Yeah.
Nah, I'm gonna have a salad. So I kind
The
of
reasons why are important.
correct.
Right.
But I don't think. I think my wife Lauren was telling me that the other day. I think I'll be extremely dangerous when I have more time.
To look at all that stuff a little more
Yeah.
hardcore.
And we're gonna work out 7 hours a day instead of.
Well,
4.
all right. Well, I know I've kept you for a long time, so thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It
for,
was my pleasure. Thanks for being. I
chatting.
mean, I like to
Yeah.
be the first one.
Yeah, you're
By mistake,
the
but it
rest-
happened.
That's okay. See, that was all by nature. It
Correct.
Jump right into it, and especially with someone so great as you, and someone that's accomplished so much, and we share so many stories, and obviously we share a love of CrossFit, which I didn't know, and anyone that does CrossFit, it's like a cult. We all know that.
We're on it. I mean, we can see it in our hands.
Yeah, after I did my workout program actually this year, the first 3 months of the year, so getting back to it, I was telling my friend at the gym the other day, I'm like, yeah, my hands have to get reacclimated. She's like, ooh, I bet. So anyway, well, all right, well,
Thank you.
I guess I'll see you at the gym maybe.
No, let's do it. We'll do a workout.
We'll do
together.
a WOD,
tell
right?
them. You're gonna kick my ass, but it's
You
fine.
make one up and I'll make one up. I can promise you it's going to have a lot of burpees.
So we'll
in
be
it, though.
surprised. We'll be like the CrossFit Games. You show up
Sure.
and we will. Okay, deal.
Sure, we should do that, and we'll try and keep each other's workout under 20 minutes each, right? Like it could be 5 minutes.
No,
I have a feeling you're a Fran guy, but I'm like a filthy 50 girl.
Okay. We'll
So,
see.
all right.
I'll come 15 minutes.
Keep it under 15.
We'll be throwing up. I'll barf for sure. So you guys gonna see me barf.
Can't wait. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for listening to the Pretty Intense podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you heard today and you want to hear more, please click on the subscribe button.